Into the eighth wonder of the world burst the wonderful world of pro football. A national television audience watched the season opening renewal of one of sport's most intense rivalries, the Houston Oilers versus the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs had names familiar to all football fans: Taylor, Garrett, Stenerud, Smith, Buchanan. But this year's Chiefs were not at all the same team which had represented the American Football League in the first Super Bowl. Before the season, Coach Hank Stram had rebuilt the Super Chiefs with 8 major position changes, 5 on an aging defensive team. As a result, most of the so-called experts had counted the Chiefs out of the title race a bit prematurely. After a rip-snorting offensive start, the rebuilt defense took over. A super alert interception by Jim Kearney stopped one Houston drive on the 4. A come-from-behind tackle by Willie Mitchell saved another touchdown. And a daring interception by young Emmett Thomas saved the game. In the final 5 minutes, the Chiefs had twice stopped the onrushing Eastern champions inside the 10-yard line, and the new season had begun on a triumphant note for the Chiefs.
For the most exciting game of the week, let's go to the Astrodome, where the Houston Oilers, champions of the Eastern Division, collided with the powerful Kansas City Chiefs. The weakest phase of the Houston Oilers offense last year was a decidedly inferior passing attack. Against the Kansas City Chiefs, they wasted little time proving that at last they had found the receivers to complement their strong-armed quarterback, Pete Beathard. On their very first series, tight end Alvin Reed, number 89, and setback Hoyle Granger, number 32, found large holes in the Chiefs secondary and moved Houston to the Kansas City 14. Switching to his running game, Beathard attacked the right side of Kansas City's mammoth defensive line, and halfback Sid Blanks swept inside the 10-yard line. On the next play, Hoyle Granger, the AFL's second leading rusher last year, sliced through a huge hole in the Chief line for a touchdown. In a game that might well be a preview of the AFL Championship in December, Houston led Kansas City 7-0. After a Kansas City field goal narrowed Houston's lead to 4 points, quarterback Pete Beathard continued to successfully pick apart the Chiefs' pass defense, and on 2 passes to Alvin Reed, moved the Oilers to within range of a touchdown again. Then on the most decisive play of their first half, and perhaps the game, Beathard made a fatal mistake when his intended pass to Reed was intercepted by the Chiefs' Jim Kearney. Instead of leading 14-3, Houston relinquished control of the game to the Chiefs. In the second period, and in fact for most of the game, Kansas City quarterback Lenny Dawson passed infrequently. But when he did, his primary target was split-end Otis Taylor, number 89, a large, powerful, and graceful man who led the Chiefs to their first real scoring opportunity. With it 4th and 1, Kansas City fullback Wendell Hayes, number 38, smashed over blocker and tackler alike for the Chiefs' first touchdown in a 10-7 lead. Late in the first half, Dawson relied on basic, crushing power of football. Blending a reception by Taylor and the running of Bert Cohn, number 23, Dawson moved the Chiefs inside the Houston 10. Then Dawson resorted to an old but always effective bit of deception, the end around. Speedy Otis Taylor raced by the stunned Oilers to give the Chiefs a comfortable 17-7 lead at halftime. The Chiefs, who played in the first Super Bowl in 1966, had been a dismal disappointment last year. They seemed to lack direction and purpose, and finally surrendered their crown to the Oakland Raiders. In response to a new year and a new challenge, the Chiefs seem to have recaptured their power and promise of 2 years ago. Through the third quarter and part of the fourth, the Chiefs continued to dominate play. Wendell Hayes and Curtis McClinton, number 32, ripped through the center of Houston's defense. The specialty team, sparked by number 1, 5'6" Nolan Smith, repeatedly gave Kansas City good field position. Last season, Houston led the AFL in rushing, but in this game, the Chiefs' defense limited them to a meager 55 yards. Kansas City's monstrous front line made it painfully apparent to the Oilers that if they were to move the ball, it would not be by running. Ernie Ladd, number 99, led a ferocious pass rush, and on several occasions he tossed quarterback Pete Beathard around like a rag doll. The Chiefs' defense set up Jan Stenerud's fourth field goal, and with 11 minutes to play in the game, Kansas City led 26-7. In 1967, the Oilers became the first pro football team ever to vault from last to first in one season. Midway through the final period, they began to demonstrate the fire and spirit that so characterized their play last year. On a quick pitch out, Granger circled left end to the Chiefs' 16. With 8 minutes remaining, Beathard connected with rookie Mac Haik for a touchdown, but Houston still trailed by 12 points. 2 minutes later, Beathard and Haik again combined for a touchdown. This one carried 59 yards, and Houston was back in the game. The Chiefs were unable to move the ball, and the inspired Oilers regained possession. Beathard hit Sid Blanks down the middle, and only a great tackle by swift Willie Mitchell prevented a touchdown. With the ball on the Kansas City 16 and trailing now by only 5 points, Houston seemed on the verge of an amazing comeback. But Emmett Thomas smashed the Oiler hopes with a clutch interception. With 1 minute, 40 seconds to play, Kansas City had only to hold on to the ball for victory. But Houston combined a tough defense with a judicious use of timeouts, and once again had the football with less than a minute to play. When Beathard threw complete to Ode Burrell, Houston's chance for a fantastic come-from-behind win again seemed possible. But with 21 seconds left, a gallant bid for victory died in the Chiefs' end zone when Beathard's fourth down pass fell incomplete. Houston's comeback was thwarted, and Kansas City claimed a 26-21 triumph.
Before a record Kansas City crowd and another national TV audience, a guy named Joe beat the Chiefs for the first time in 4 tries. The Chiefs' new defense made opportunities, but the offense could not cash in on them. The special team scored all the Chiefs' points, and tiny Nolan Smith scored the only Kansas City touchdown. But for one more point, the Chiefs, instead of the Jets, might have become super champions.
Some people say the New York Jets lost the '67 Eastern Division Championship in Kansas City. The Jets were 5-1-1 when an injury to Emerson Boozer in Kansas City killed New York's running game and eventually their championship bid. But that was 1967. Today the Jets open their '68 campaign in Kansas City with a healthy Emerson Boozer. But New York's running game is only to keep the defense honest, so Joe Namath can pass. One of his favorite receivers is number 13, Don Maynard. The 57-yard Namath to Maynard combination puts the Jets ahead 7-0. The Chiefs' offense, basically a power machine, always presents a passing threat. Fred Arbanis penetrates Jets territory. Defensively, the Jets finished third last year. Jerry Philbin catches Lynn Dawson from the blind side, and the Chiefs are forced into a field goal situation. With the ball spotted on the 33, Jan Stenerud, the Chiefs' soccer-style kicker, puts the Chiefs on the board at the end of the first quarter. New York swings back behind Namath's passing. It's a 1-and-1 situation between Maynard and Goldie Sellers, and again Maynard is open. In close, Namath again looks for Maynard, but this time he's well covered and New York will have to try a three-pointer. Jim Turner from the 22. It's good, and the Jets extend their lead 10-3. In the closing moments of the first half, Emerson Boozer, number 32, gets his chance to show the Chiefs that his right knee is healed. With less than 2 minutes till halftime, Don Maynard is again matched head-to-head with Goldie Sellers. The 30-yarder gives the Jets a 17-3 lead at halftime. After dominating the first half, New York is forced to punt early in the third quarter to Super Nat, Nolan Smith. The 80-yard run back by Smith closes New York's lead, and so before the successful extra point, the score read 17-9. The momentum of the game is swung to the Chiefs. Boozer loses the ball. Number 22, Willie Mitchell, recovers, and the Chiefs are in position to tie the score. But on 3rd and 7 at the Jets 16, Otis Taylor is stopped 2 yards short of the first down. Rather than gamble, the Chiefs send in Jan Stenerud. The 18-yarder is good, but Kansas City still trails 17-13. Again, the Jets try to change the current of the game, but again there is trouble. Joe Namath's pass is intercepted by Willie Lanier. The third quarter ends with the Chiefs in great field position, but still trailing by 4 points. New York's defense stands firm. Lynn Dawson tries a 3rd and 11 touchdown bid to Otis Taylor, but it's too high. Jan Stenerud is sent in to salvage the drive. But the three-pointer still leaves the Chiefs trailing by 1. The Jets must now move the ball. Namath connects with his tight end Pete Lamons when the Chiefs start doubling up on his flanker. Kansas City continues to double-team Maynard, so Namath again goes to Lamons inside Chiefs territory. On 3rd and 1, Boozer to his left, but the lateral movement gives Buck Buchanan time to sleeve tackle Boozer for a loss. The key play of the game, the 42-yarder by Jim Turner, gives the Jets a 20-16 lead. Now New York must stop the Chiefs from scoring a touchdown. With only minutes left, Dawson's 3rd down pass is broken up by Johnny Sample. Jan Stenerud's 28-yarder is good, but still leaves the Chiefs 1 point short as the Jets play out the clock and hand the Chiefs their first loss of the season. In 1967, the Jets' title dream died in Kansas City. This year, it was reborn there.
With all of their running backs injured, the Chiefs had to call on their punter, Gerald Wilson, to carry the ball against Denver. For the first half, the inspired defense, led by young Aaron Brown, kept the Chiefs in the game. In the second half, Jackie Lee came off the bench to complete 7 of 8 passes, good for 2 touchdowns to Otis Taylor. But the story of the game and probably the entire pro season was number 45, rookie Robert Holmes. A shin infection and a 102-degree temperature had kept Holmes on the bench. His leg packed in ice until the second half. Then, playing with the offensive unit for the first time, Robert Holmes saved the day and perhaps the season for the Chiefs.
The Kansas City Chiefs were host to Denver on Sunday, and the Broncos demonstrated a brutal defense, but eventually fell prey to a wild fourth quarter. 1 year ago, the Broncos were involved in a long season using 20 rookies and 10 men who had only been in the league 2 years. They are now a year older, which is vital, but they sorely missed their first-team quarterback Steve Tensey and their leading receiver Al Denson. For Denver to get on the winning track, it will take many more efforts like the one they turned in during the first half against the powerful Chiefs. Midway into the first period, their pressuring defense caught Kansas City's Gerald Wilson behind his own goal line for a safety. Lynn Dawson, number 16, also had his troubles with the Broncos as the Chiefs' offense had to settle for only 2 field goals in the entire first half. Rookie Jim LeClaire led Denver nicely with passes like this one to Eric Crabtree. But unfortunately, all of the yardage gained was between the 20-yard lines. And Kansas City's defenseman like Bobby Bell, number 78, stopped Denver when it counted. The halftime score was unusually low, 6-2, favoring the Chiefs. In the second half, the Chiefs put Jackie Lee in at quarterback, and things began to happen. Split end Frank Pitts, number 25, cut off fine blocking and moved deep into Denver territory. From the 17, rookie Bobby Holmes thundered in to score the game's first touchdown. Behind by only 11 points late in the third quarter, LeClaire began rallying the Broncos with a 40-yarder to Floyd Little. Eric Crabtree then grabbed his 7th pass of the game as they crossed midfield. Behind the rush of Aaron Brown, Bobby Bell, Jerry Mays, and Buck Buchanan, the Chiefs again put the clamps on Denver and finally forced LeClaire into an interception by linebacker Bud Abel, his second of the day. It was still only 13-2 as the last quarter began, but it was in this period that the rare defensive struggle turned into an offensive rout by the Chiefs. With the ball now on Denver's 21-yard line, number 45, Robert Holmes, took charge. He's only 5'9", but weighs 220 pounds, and is another sledgehammer in Kansas City's arsenal of backs. With the score now suddenly out of reach late in the game, Jackie Lee took to the air and twice threw to his flying flanker Otis Taylor, number 89, for additional touchdowns. Taylor's final touchdown gave Kansas City a whopping but hard-earned 34-2 victory.
With almost ridiculous ease, Len Dawson hit his first 3 touchdown passes of the season. One to number 89 flanker Otis Taylor. One to number 38 running back Wendell Hayes. And one to split end Gloucester Richardson, number 30, as the Chiefs built a 5-touchdown halftime lead. Number 45, Robert Holmes, continued to act like anything but a sick rookie. In only his second game, the 5'9", 220-pound Holmes ran for 123 yards, 76 of them during the second longest run of the entire AFL season. The Chiefs' rebuilt defense, gaining more cohesion with each game, continued to come up with big plays, including 5 interceptions. One was turned into a touchdown by number 51, linebacker Jim Lynch. All told, the Chiefs piled up 48 straight points in one of the most overwhelming victories in league history.
It is only proper that the Miami Dolphins' finest moment against the Kansas City Chiefs be shown. Number 39, Larry Zonka, took a screen pass 65 yards in the 4th quarter. But as all the Dolphins' hopes before, this one was killed by the impregnable Chiefs defense within easy reach of the goal. Hank Stram's famous Kansas City scoring machine was unstoppable. Midway through the first period, Len Dawson connected with his split-end Gloucester Richardson for the Chiefs' first score and a lead of 10-3. Within 2 minutes, the Chiefs again had possession and drove at will. Otis Taylor finessed the Chiefs to Miami's 4. On the very next play, Kansas City's line punched a gaping hole in the left side, and Bert Cohn did the rest. Trailing 17-3, Miami was forced to go to the air. But Kansas City's Johnny Robinson intercepted, and again the Chiefs were in excellent field position. On the last play of the first quarter, Len Dawson floated an easy strike to Otis Taylor, and again Kansas City was on the board. A whopping 24 points for the Chiefs against 3 points for the Dolphins. Midway through the second period, rookie fullback Robert Holmes parlayed an off-tackle play into a 76-yard score. Kansas City 31, Miami 3. As soon as the Chiefs got the ball back, their power machine drove to the Miami 15. Len Dawson found Wendell Hayes all alone, and the first half ended with the Chiefs completely out of reach at 38-3. Kansas City added a field goal in the third period and ended their scoring marathon in the 4th quarter on an interception by number 51, Jim Lynch. The former Notre Dame All-America returned 22 yards for the final score of the game. Kansas City has again proved its credentials as a threat in the title race.
As usual in a game against Buffalo's tough defense, the offense spends most of the game trying to find some place to run. Fortunately for the Chiefs, their own defense set up 2 scores by yielding its only touchdown in 3 games. The defense, plus the kicking of Jan Stenerud, plus the continued superlative running of Robert the Tank Holmes, assured a 3rd consecutive win for Kansas City, although it was rougher than Coach Hank Stram had hoped. The Chiefs' young defense next ganged up on the newly born Cincinnati Bengals. led by spectacular rookie running back Paul Robinson and Hall of Fame coach Paul Brown. The best expansion team ever was hit with the formula defense plus Stenerud plus Holmes equals 4 straight wins in first place. The 4X Chiefs starting for the Bengals must have felt just a bit homesick.
The Kansas City Chiefs war paint turned to a blushing red as its strong defense was matched by the Cincinnati Bengals. The first half was consumed with so many good defensive plays that very little offense could be generated. Mike Garrett of the Chiefs is run out of bounds by Al Beauchamp, who in his own fatherly way offers some sage words of advice. Actually, Beauchamp is giving Garrett some hot tips on the stock market, and Mike is telling Al what he can do with them. Both teams blitzed, battered, and bombed one another so badly that only 11 first downs were recorded in the first half. At one time, the contest looked more like a bulldogging event than a football game. Trailing 3-0 in the third quarter, Cincinnati got a big break when Harry Gunner intercepted a Lynn Dawson pass and somehow ran it back to the Kansas City 8-yard line. The Bengals had to settle for a field goal, however, when John Stofa's third down pass hit the goalpost. With the score tied at 3-all, Jan Stenerud would again be called upon to salvage some points for the inconsistent Kansas City offense. His 38-yard field goal late in the third put the Chiefs ahead to stay 6-3. It wasn't until the fourth quarter that Kansas City could mount a sustained drive. Moving on sweeps and short passes, the largest gain was a 12-yard run by Robert Holmes off left tackle. Holmes finally got the touchdown from 1 yard out as the Chiefs took a heavy dose of their own type of punishment to outlast Cincinnati 13-3.
The first 50,000-plus crowd in Kansas City sports history, and millions of home television viewers were watching. The injury-racked Chiefs to hold first place had to beat the league champion Oakland Raiders, winners of 14 of their last 15 games, and beat them they did. The Kansas City defense broke down pro football's most prolific scoring machine. His best receivers unavailable, Coach Strand, with brilliant strategy, resurrected the old-fashioned tight T with 2 tight ends, Reg Carolyn and number 84, Fred Arbanis. The Chiefs passed a record low 3 times. They ran a record high 60 times. Mike Garrett for 109 yards. Wendell Hayes for 89 yards. Robert Holmes for 95 yards. Despite adversity, the Chiefs had won 5 straight games. They were now alone at the top.
In Kansas City, an old philosophy made the Chiefs into a new team. With the old T formation as their basic offensive deployment, the Chiefs were able to rip through the Oakland Raiders' famed defense. Lynn Dawson only threw 3 passes in the entire game, But this 12-yarder, his longest, put the Chiefs inside Raider territory early in the first quarter. Using setbacks Mike Garrett, Wendell Hayes, and number 45, Robert Holmes, the Chiefs made up for their defunct aerial attack with almost 300 yards rushing. Number 38, Wendell Hayes, powered over for the first score of the game, and the Chiefs had a 7-0 lead. The Raiders' offense in the first half reminded one of the old children's game called May I. Raiders number 43, George Atkinson, gave them a giant step with a 53-yard kickoff return. But that's all the Chiefs would allow. First, they made the Raiders take 4 steps backward. Then 7 steps backward. On 3rd and 21, Oakland's Daryle Lamonica tried to take a giant step. But the Chiefs' number 42, Johnny Robinson, said, "No, you may not." And that's how the Raiders' offense managed to make no points and only 4 first downs in the first half. The Chiefs' offense, on the other hand, continued their grounded attack without mercy. Robert Holmes for 32. The middle of the Raiders' line kept opening up, and the Chiefs' setbacks kept coming through. From the 4, Kansas City surprised Oakland and went around in. Robert Holmes scored, and the Chiefs led by 2 touchdowns. A field goal gave them a 17-0 lead at halftime. Kansas City opened the second half with a brutal display of power. They continually gnawed at the center of the Raiders' defense. The longest gain was a 9-yarder by number 38, Wendell Hayes. But the whole drive was a superb example of ball control. Not only did they control the ball, the Chiefs also ate up 9.5 minutes in this juggernaut effort. It was not spectacular football in the flashy sense, but it put 6 more points on the board, and the Chiefs led 24-0. Finally, the team noted for the spectacular started to move. With little time left in the third quarter, the Raiders again looked like champions. Then came the spectacular, a 55-yarder from Lamonica to Billy Cannon, and the Raiders were on the board trailing 24-7. In the fourth quarter, the Raiders' defense was like that of old. Kansas City could not make 1 first down, and the Raiders scored 3 points on a field goal. With only 1.5 minutes left, Lamonica staged one of his famous precision passing drills. The passes were perfect, the gains were large, but the clock was small, and so was the Raiders' score. The belated rally ended on a 22-yard gain. The clock had run out. There was simply no more time left for the Raiders to stage a dramatic finish. The Kansas City Chiefs winning 24-10 is the fact, but what the fact means is that the Oakland Raiders, last year's champions, are now in 3rd place, and that's a long way from the Super Bowl.
A strong wind and a stronger Kansas City defense greeted the second-place San Diego Chargers as the second half of the season got underway. Another record crowd and another national TV audience saw the Chiefs' offense again return to normal. Mike Garrett had his best day of the season, accounting for 162 yards. He also scored his first touchdown of the year. Robert Holmes added his sixth touchdown of the year, and with the help of Jan Stenerud's 20th and 21st field goals, the Chiefs twice came from behind to win their sixth consecutive game.
Last weekend, the Kansas City Chiefs beat the Oakland Raiders in a monumental struggle. Now they face the San Diego Chargers for the Western Division lead. Huge men dominate both teams, but in this contest, several men showed why they believe pro football is a small man's game. Dick Post, number 22, is only 5'9", but he's San Diego's leading rusher and last season was voted the AFL's Offensive Rookie of the Year. Another Charger who overwhelmed the big boys weighs only 177 pounds. He's Lance Alworth, and against the Chiefs he gained 169 yards on just 6 receptions. Kansas City, of course, possesses one of the most famous small men to play the game, Mike Garrett, number 21. Last year, he gained over 1,000 yards rushing, and on Sunday, the former Heisman Trophy winner gained almost 100 receiving and another 100 on the ground. With Garrett, Post, and Alworth leading the way, the stage was set for the great battle. The only outside factor to consider was a 30-mile-an-hour wind that raged throughout the game. The Chiefs' game wasn't affected by the wind, however, since they relied on running and on short passes to Garrett, like this one, that set up Kansas City's first score. The hometown roar became even louder when Robert Holmes demonstrated the devastating art of stiff-arming and scored his 6th touchdown of the year. In the last play of the first quarter, quarterback John Hadel defied the wind and passed 51 yards to Alworth. Now San Diego was on track, and with this strike to Gary Garrison, the game was deadlocked again. For 2 quarters, the two powers matched muscle and matched points. Then San Diego began to sustain a serious scoring drive. Post led the ground attack, and Hadel threw with abandon. But then trouble struck the Chargers in the form of the best pass defense in the league. A deflected pass was picked off by Jim Lynch, who returned it 50 yards. In itself, this play didn't hurt San Diego, but unfortunately for them, it established an unwelcome trend. When the Chargers were about to score, the Chiefs would intercept and end the threat. Number 42, Johnny Robinson, got 2 interceptions himself. Despite having 3 passes intercepted in 3 quarters, San Diego was only down by 4 points, and Hadel was still throwing and Alworth still catching. As the 4th quarter began, the Chargers fought to take the lead. Russ Smith carried to the 5-yard line, where Hadel took to the air again and found his tight end Willie Frazier all alone for the go-ahead touchdown. Kansas City now trailed 17-20, and the pressure was mounting. The Chiefs were leading the Western Division going into this game, but a loss here would give San Diego the lead. As time was running out, they moved steadily downfield. Quarterback Lynn Dawson faked the run and threw one of his rare passes complete to Frank Pitts at the Charger 25-yard line. From there, Mike Garrett carried left, and with a tremendous blocking effort by number 84, Fred Urbanus, blasted into the end zone. Kansas City had regained the lead, and now it was all up to the Chargers, or rather, to the Kansas City defense. A field goal gave the Chiefs a 7-point lead as Allworth and company started upfield. With a golden opportunity to tie the game with less than 2 minutes remaining, Hadel's jinx reappeared. Kansas City's Jim Kearney got between Frazier and the ball, and that was it. John Hadel threw for 297 yards in the game, but it was his 4 erring throws that told the real story, as Kansas City remained chief of the Western Division, for this week anyway.
The vengeful champion Raiders played their best game of the season and dominated the Chiefs just as the Chiefs had dominated them 2 weeks before. After 6 straight convincing victories, the powerful Chiefs had finally been beaten.
Kansas City at least scored the last touchdown of the day, a 61-yarder to Frank Pitts. The Chiefs' loss now deadlocks the Western Division once again, and it looks like Kansas City, San Diego, and Oakland down to the wire.
In a must game for the Chiefs, the defense again held Cincinnati without a touchdown. Len Dawson was sidelined with a leg injury, and the offense was having its problems except for Robert Holmes, who personally accounted for 220 yards and thoroughly outplayed his Rookie of the Year rival, Paul Robinson. Trailing by 3 late in the game, Dawson hobbled onto the field and proceeded to lead the Chiefs to victory. The game's only touchdown was scored by Dawson's friend, Robert Holmes.
If you think that the first place Kansas City Chiefs and the last place Cincinnati Bengals do not have anything in common, you are wrong. For each team possesses one of the prime candidates for Rookie of the Year honors. Number 45, Robert Holmes, has powered his way for 7 touchdowns to lead the league. The toy tank from Southern University is 5 foot 9 inches tall and weighs 220 pounds. And in this game alone, he rumbled for 158 earth-shaking yards. After this week, Holmes is the 2nd leading ground gainer in the league. Cincinnati rookie Paul Robinson, number 18, is first. Robinson was the NCAA Intermediate Hurdle Champion at Arizona, and his total of 705 yards rushing attests to his football ability. Robinson gained 115 yards against the tough Chief defense, but had to pay the price for his success. Besides the offensive heroics of Robinson and Holmes, the contest was dominated by the defenses and a resulting lack of points by both teams. When Bengal quarterback Sam Weitz moved into scoring position, the Chiefs shut him out. Willie Mitchell picked this one off, but it only gave the Cincinnati defense a chance to show everyone how tough it could be. Jackie Lee, subbing for Len Dawson, was only able to complete 5 of 13 passes, thanks partly to number 47 Charlie King and an unstoppable pass rush led by Al Beauchamp and Jim Griffin. There were no big surprises in the game except the score. Midway into the third quarter, it was all tied up 6-6, and that was before Bengal safety Jess Phillips carried an errant Jackie Lee pass to the 12-yard line. Cincinnati couldn't get the touchdown, but Dale Livingston did get his third field goal of the day, and it gave the upstart Bengals the lead, 9-6. Jan Stenerud tied it in the fourth quarter, and minutes later, Kansas City got the ball again. The score was amazingly deadlocked, 9-9. Len Dawson replaced Jackie Lee at quarterback, but they really didn't need him either because they still had Robert Holmes. He conducted a personal blitzkrieg through Cincinnati that quickly proved their doom. The difference this time was a rookie named Holmes, as the Bengals once again almost beat the best.
Back home against the Boston Patriots, another sellout crowd saw the Chiefs' famous big play offense finally return. Goldie Sellers flashed 77 yards with a punt. Len Dawson was instructed to bomb Boston. One bomb to Gloucester Richardson was good for a 77-yard touchdown. Another bomb to Frank Pitts was good for a 90-yard touchdown. At times, it seemed as if the Chiefs were running casual relays up and down the field. But with only 1 minute remaining, another must game was still in the balance. Then, Len Dawson threw a screen pass to Mike Garrett. E.J. Holland threw a perfect block. Ed Buddy threw another. And Garrett swiveled 43 yards for the one final big play, which salted away another Kansas City victory.
An atmosphere mindful of the Old West, complete with drums beating wildly and stampeding horses, put the Kansas City Chiefs in a gay, festive mood. Like for a lynching. The Patriots responded to all of this with a little necktie party of their own. Leading 3 scalps to none, the Patriots attempted a field goal that was partially blocked. Jim Kearney, number 46, then fumbled it, and Boston recovered on the Kansas City 1. From there, Tom Sherman threw a pass to R.C. Gamble, and Boston led 10-0. Not for long, however, as Lynn Dawson speared Frank Pitt's number 25. The play covered 90 yards for a touchdown. And a turn at ring around the goalpost. Moments later, Goldie Sellers fielded a punt on his 24, made one move, and charged 76 yards for 6 points. Boston never regained the lead, but rookie quarterback Tom Sherman, number 14, put on his own sideshow. Passing for 184 yards and 2 touchdowns, he seems to be improving rapidly, and Boston certainly needs some of that medicine. Too often, though, he was sacrificed at the Chiefs' pillar of defense. Lynn Dawson, number 16, completed 17 passes for 312 yards and 3 touchdowns. This one to Gloucester Richardson covered 78 yards. The Patriots stiffened late in the third quarter and rallied to within 7 points on a pass from Sherman to Aaron Marsh, who grew 6 inches to catch it. But when the moon was full, the Chiefs buried the Patriots alive with a 43-yard touchdown pass from Dawson to Mike Garrett. And the Chiefs had successfully run the gauntlet 31-17. This is the situation in the American Football League with 3 weekends remaining. In the Eastern Division race, the New York Jets are leading the Houston Oilers by 3 games, which means that the Oilers must win their 3 remaining games to be tied with the New York Jets. Should the Jets win at least one of their 3 games, they will win in the East. Now, in the West, it's a bit more complicated. The Oakland Raiders and the Kansas City Chiefs are tied with a 9-2 record, and San Diego is a half game back with an 8-3. Now, the Chargers have a bit of a problem in the Western Division race. They must play Denver. In addition, they must play Kansas City and then Oakland. They have to win all 3 for there to be a 3-way tie. Should either the Oakland Raiders, the Kansas City Chiefs win all of theirs and San Diego lose one, there would then be a 2-way tie. So it's still a toss-up in the West. I'm Charlie Jones.
Thanksgiving Day with the Wolfpack, the final home game, another standing room only crowd. For the 7-game home schedule, 99% of capacity. For the 3rd straight year, a new Western Division attendance record. And of course, multi-millions more watching at home. This was a must game for both the Oilers and the Chiefs. And no one loves this kind of action more than a Chiefs fan. Red-hot Len Dawson continued to hit with the big plays, at one point connecting on 10 consecutive passes with 3 going for touchdowns. For his day's work, Dawson was voted the AFL Offensive Player of the Week. 2 of his touchdowns were thrown to Frank Pitts, who confirmed the long-standing faith of Coach Stram by emerging as one of the league's leading long-distance threats. The Riddler, as he is called, had a large part in knocking the defending champion Oilers out of the Eastern race and in keeping the Chiefs on top in the West. After 3 straight wins, the Chiefs still had to defeat the high-scoring Chargers in San Diego. Then, the resurgent Broncos in Denver. And then, a tie for the Western title would be assured.
The championship weeks of pro football are upon us, but the battle for first place in the Eastern Division is already over. It ended on Thanksgiving Day. The Houston Oilers played the Kansas City Chiefs, while in New York, the Jets called a huddle in front of the TV set, hoping for an Oiler loss. That one loss that would clinch first place for the Jets. The New Yorkers were not disappointed. There is a 2-year-old flag in Kansas City that tells you when the Chiefs were the champions of the AFL. But on Thanksgiving Day, the Houston Oilers were fighting for their professional lives against the Chiefs. The Oilers had to win the game for the slimmest chance at the Eastern Crown. Houston's early passing attack was outstanding, and they moved easily into Chiefs territory. The Oilers' ground attack was not as mobile, as the Chiefs' front four, led by number 86, Buck Buchanan, smothered the running game. Houston's passing took them inside the Chiefs' 15, but excellent coverage in the secondary and an amazing four-man rush cornered Oilers quarterback Pete Beathard, and he was thrown for a 25-yard loss by number 87, Aaron Brown. After a scoreless first period, Lynn Dawson attacked Houston's strength, their pass defense. Number 33, W.K. Hicks, intercepted. The Oilers now had excellent field position, but again it was the Chiefs' defense that saved their scalps. Number 51, Jim Lynch, tripped Beathard on third down, and the Oilers had to settle for a 39-yard field goal by Wayne Walker. Trailing 3-0, the Chiefs again attacked Houston's strength, but this time with success. Robert Holmes carried to Kansas City's 46. Tight end Fred Urbanus took the Chiefs to the Oilers' 37. Then it was time for the bomb. Mike Garrett took it at the 20 and scored the first touchdown of the day. The Chiefs had a 7-3 halftime advantage. Trailing and unable to run against the Chiefs, the Oilers had to pass. Number 42, Johnny Robinson, picked off the deflected ball, and the Chiefs were in charge. Once again, Dawson went against the Oilers' strength, and again he was successful. Houston's defenders gambled on the interception and lost. John Pitts scored easily, and Kansas City had a 14-3 lead. Houston came back in style. Beathard threw from his own 25. 55 yards downfield, Jim Byrne grabbed it, and Houston was now behind only 14-10 going into the fourth period. Lynn Dawson coolly appraised the situation, looked over his potential receivers, and picked John Pitts, number 25. Pitts' assignment, a fly pattern straight down the sidelines for the insurance touchdown. The Chiefs held the Oilers for the remainder of the game, and thus ended Houston's reign as defending champs in the East. But if Kansas City wants to raise another flag in Municipal Stadium, they'll have to do it over the bodies of next week's opponents, the San Diego Chargers.
The nation again watched as the Chiefs' big play offense continued to roll. Len Dawson threw 3 more touchdown passes, and for the second straight week, Lenny the Cool was voted the AFL Offensive Player of the Week. The longest touchdown pass was again thrown to Frank Pitts, this time for 68 yards, and the play that crushed Sid Gilman's Chargers. The fired-up Chiefs defense swarmed all over Kansas' John Hadl and forced him into his worst game in 5 years. 7 times the Chiefs intercepted. Led by perennial All-Pro Johnny Robinson, the Chiefs for the 3rd straight year had the most interceptions in the league, 37. Middle linebacker Willie Lanier, number 63, trundled almost the length of the field with 1 as the Chiefs scored 40 straight points and knocked the Chargers out of the race.
In the beginning, it looked like it would be a contest between the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Diego Chargers. Kansas City fumbled twice in the first quarter, and San Diego led 3-0. Yes, it looked like a real close fight until John Hadl started passing, and Kansas City started intercepting. Number 20, Goldie Sellers, put the Chiefs within easy scoring range. Len Dawson capitalized on San Diego's first turnover by passing to a wide-open Gloucester Richardson. The Chiefs led 7-3. San Diego's first play after Richardson's touchdown. This time, number 46, Jim Kearney, set the Chiefs up deep in Chargers territory as the first quarter ended. In less than 2 minutes, the Chiefs scored again, with Dawson hitting Mike Garrett from 7 yards out. Kansas City now led 14-3. The Chargers got the ball, and for the 3rd straight time gave it up. Sellers had his 2nd interception. The turnover led to another score as Dawson connected with Frank Pitts for a 68-yard touchdown. San Diego now trailed 21-3. Finally, San Diego came alive late in the first half. Lance Alworth took the Chargers into Chiefs territory. But what was becoming the inevitable occurred. Number 42, Johnny Robinson, boosted the Chiefs' total interceptions to 4, stopping 4 successive Charger drives. The second half looked bleak to the Chargers. It was. The Chiefs drove 86 yards, and Mike Garrett scored his 2nd touchdown. Trailing now 28-3, San Diego was understandably tense, and it showed. Then came the granddaddy of them all for this game. Number 63, Willie Lanier, grabbed Hadel's pass, and the linebacker ran 75 yards, picking up blocking by his defensive mates that would be the envy of any offense. The Chiefs led 35-3 and didn't let up. Hadel was now completely dominated by the Chiefs' defense. In his last 2 plays in the game, John lost 15 yards and then threw his 6th interception to tie the league record for that infamous honor. Hadel sat out the entire 4th quarter while his understudy threw San Diego's 7th interception and was thrown for a 2-point safety. Sid Gilman's Chargers did more than just lose a ball game 40 points to 3. They eliminated themselves from the Western Division title race.
The eyes of the nation this time were focused on the Chiefs' defense. Number 87, Defensive Player of the Week Aaron Brown, forced interceptions and chased Marlon the Magician Briscoe all over Denver's Mile High Stadium. The Chiefs, always known as one of football's strongest finishers, finally had their necessary 5th straight win and were assured of a tie for the Western title. In what had begun as a rebuilding year, and despite crippling injuries, Coach Hank Stram had led the Chiefs to 12 victories in 14 games, their best record ever. No team had ever played so well without winning an undisputed title. On a cold, wet day in Oakland, the league's first 2 Super Bowl teams finally decided a championship. In '68, the Chiefs' special teams were indeed special, with young hitters like Culp, Prudhomme, Daney, Belzer, and Hurston, and Jan Stenerud, pro football's 2nd leading scorer, and Gerald Wilson, pro football's leading punter, and of course, Nolan Smith, the smallest man in pro football, the 5'6" 154-pound man they call the Super Gnat. He runs the 100 in 9.4. He led the league in punt returns. He is so small and elusive, hardly anyone ever gets a solid shot at him. But when they do, the result can be a fractured cheekbone. The Chiefs' defense set a league record for fewest points allowed. Judo expert Ed Lothamer was one reason. Captain Jerry Mays, number 75, was another. His quickness and determination have made him All-League 5 times. Aaron Brown, number 87, in his first year as a starter, showed the speed and strength which just about guarantee a brilliant future. The Big Cat, 6'9", 290-pound Ernie Ladd, a four-time All-Pro, despite painfully damaged knees, gave the Chiefs many a needed lift. And 6'7", 287-pound Buck Buchanan, despite numerous injuries, was still the best defensive tackle in the league. The linebacking was in excellent hands. Young Jim Lynch, number 51, the former Notre Dame great, excelled in his first year as a starter, winding up the season as the star of the AFL All-Star Game. The defensive signal caller was young Willie Lanier. In only his second year as a pro, he was voted All-League. Alongside these two outstanding youngsters towered the imposing figure of Bobby Bell, All-League for the fourth straight year. His punishing blitz was one reason why the Chiefs' defense dumped enemy quarterbacks for more yardage than any other team in football. Coach Stram has built a league-leading defense with both youth and experience, a defense primed for the future. The offense is a similar blend, and it too led the league in both passing and rushing. It was anchored at center by former linebacker E.J. Hollop. At quarterback was Len Dawson, the all-time AFL passing leader. One of the most accurate passers of all time, Dawson during the past 7 seasons has also thrown for more touchdowns than any other pro quarterback. Much of the credit for this record belongs, of course, to the Chiefs' excellent young receivers, Gloucester Richardson, Frank Pitts, and Otis Taylor, whose running abilities are equal to those of the best halfbacks. Coach Stram, in fact, uses his receivers as ball carriers more often than any other coach. With the kind of downfield blocking the Chiefs usually have, the result is often a long game. There is no better way to score from the 5-yard line than to have Otis Taylor gallop through the old end-around play. Otis Taylor, the ultimate in modern football weaponry. Size, speed, hands, power. He has them all. Trying to tackle Otis Taylor is like trying to tackle a racehorse in the home stretch. Blessed with receivers like these, the Chiefs' offense will continue to be one of the toughest in football to suppress. Football is a game of big men. Mike Garrett at 5 feet 9 inches competes among these men, and the former Heisman winner is one of the toughest, most exciting performers in the game. Despite multiple injuries, Garrett again finished in the league's top 10 rushers, and as always, he furnished more than his share of football magic. Garrett also led the Chiefs in receiving. There is no one in football more dangerous with a screen pass. In this game of big men, the man of the year had to be another 5'9" giant, Robert Holmes. From the obscurity of the 14th round of the college draft to the Chiefs' most valuable player, Robert Holmes battled every inch of the way. His rushing total was second best in the league. His rushing average, the best in the top 10. He sparked the Chiefs' offense from his very first game. His dedication and desire earned him an award voted by his teammates. The award is named for the Chiefs' star running back, Mac Lee Hill, who died several years ago while undergoing surgery. It is presented annually to the rookie, who, as the inscription reads, best exemplifies the spirit of the late Mac Lee Hill, the man with the giant heart and the quiet way. Holmes said, "In the years to come, I hope to improve and not make so many mistakes." These are the uncrowned champions. With men like these, they will not be uncrowned for long. This is Hank Stram, a winner in over 100 AFL games, including 2 league championships. A unanimous choice as AFL Coach of the Year. and one of the most dynamic leaders in any sport.
Come on, Len. Come on. Get him out of there. You're too slow.
Dawson at quarterback. Gets the snap. He fakes the run to Mike Garrett. Running back. Throws the ball and an outside.
Was that there? Hey, was that there? Yes, sir. That's it, boys. 15 lead pass. 15 lead pass. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Got it, baby. Yeah. Come on, Jan. Pump it out. Hey, that's the way, Jan. Attaboy. That's the way to hit that thing. That way. Out. He's out. One foot was out. He was out. One leg was in there. That's all. Just one leg. Ah, come on. Look at his cleat mark right here. Look at the cleat mark right there. One foot was on, the other one was off. Come on, put pressure on that quarterback. Good. How about that 30 pass again? Post flag with Frank Pitts.
The leadership of Hank Stram is felt by all the Chiefs. By Jim Tyre and Ed Buddy, all pros. Mo Mormon, rookie. Mike Garrett, All-American. Dave Hill, All-Pro. And by Frank Pitts, a young man in whom the coach continued to have faith. To them all, the glory of sport is in a moment like this.
30 pass. 30 pass. Round right. Yes, sir. Hey, Riddler. Nice going there, Riddler. Yes, sir. Well, we needed that. We needed that badly, boy. Woo! We needed that. That should be the termination of the contest.